Hey gamers, if there's one thing that always gets the blood pumping, it's an intense, memorable boss fight. From colossal beasts to tactical duels that test your skills, there's something incredibly satisfying about facing off against a powerful foe and coming out on top. In today's video, we're diving into 11 games with the best boss fights you can't miss in 2024. These encounters aren't just challenging, they're cinematic, awe-inspiring, and often unforgettable. So, grab your controller, because it's time to talk about the fights that will push you to your limits this year. 1. Lies of P. Best Boss. The Puppet King. Let's kick things off with Lies of P, a game that took the Souls-like community by storm. Inspired by the story of Pinocchio, Lies of P transports players into a dark, dystopian world filled with mechanical monstrosities. The bosses in this game are no joke, but one stands out above the rest: the Puppet King. This massive, twisted automaton is both intimidating and deceptively fast, with attacks that can fill the entire screen. His unpredictable attack patterns and multi-phase battle make this fight one of the most intense moments in the game. It's a fight where you'll need to master timing, movement, and aggression all at once, as the Puppet King is relentless and punishing. Victory is sweet, but the journey to get there, absolutely brutal. 2. Final Fantasy XVI. Best Boss. Ifrit vs Bahamut. Final Fantasy XVI is a game filled with massive econ battles, but none quite compare to the epic showdown between Ifrit and Bahamut. This battle feels like a Godzilla fight, as these two towering creatures clash in a battle of fire and destruction. What makes this boss fight stand out isn't just its sheer scale, but the cinematic presentation. You're thrown into an arena where the world is literally crumbling around you, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Bahamut's devastating attacks will keep you on your toes, while the fiery, aggressive style of Ifrit turns the fight into a spectacle of destruction. The battle is long, but every second of it is packed with adrenaline-pumping action. It's a boss fight you'll be talking about long after the credits roll. 3. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Best Boss. Rayvis. As you progress through Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the stakes rise with each encounter, and the boss fight with Rayvis is one of the most intense moments in the game. Rayvis is a towering, battle-hardened Jedi who is seemingly unstoppable. His regenerative abilities allow him to withstand incredible amounts of damage, making this a grueling test of endurance for even the most skilled players. The fight with Rayvis takes place in a grand, atmospheric arena that feels like something out of an epic Star Wars duel. His moveset is varied, switching between devastating melee attacks and long-range energy blasts that keep you on the move. Rayvis can also create shockwaves that force you to time your jumps and dodges perfectly. One of the highlights of this boss fight is the way it captures the feel of a classic Star Wars duel. The fluid lightsaber combat, combined with Rayvis's brute strength, makes for an exhilarating experience. Every blow feels impactful, and the game's physics make the battle feel grounded and intense. 4. Mortal Kombat 1. Best Boss. Titan Shang Tsung. Mortal Kombat 1 is not only a reboot of the iconic franchise, but also a masterclass in how to deliver high-octane, brutal combat. One of the standout moments in the game is the epic final boss battle against Titan Shang Tsung. As a powerful sorcerer and shapeshifter, Shang Tsung is notorious for his ability to absorb the souls of his enemies, making him an unpredictable and dangerous opponent. In this fight, Shang Tsung cycles through different forms, each with its own set of devastating moves. From throwing fireballs to summoning demonic creatures, this boss battle keeps you on your toes with a mix of ranged and close-quarters combat. The sheer spectacle of Shang Tsung transforming mid-fight adds to the tension, as you're forced to adapt quickly to his changing attacks. The cinematic finish, complete with over-the-top fatalities, makes this showdown a highlight for any Mortal Kombat fan. What really makes this battle stand out is the attention to detail in the character animations and the fluidity of the combat system. The transitions between forms are seamless, and each of Shang Tsung's phases has a distinct set of strategies you'll need to overcome. The stakes are high, and the visuals are stunning, making this one of the most memorable boss fights in recent years. 5. Spider-Man 2. Best Boss. Venom Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 has been a massive hit, thanks in part to its fluid combat, expansive world, and incredible story. But one of the game's most unforgettable moments comes when Peter Parker and Miles Morales team up to take on one of Spidey's most iconic villains, Venom. This boss battle is as much a psychological confrontation as it is a physical one. Venom's raw power and ferocity are on full display as he overpowers both Spider-Men, forcing players to switch between Peter and Miles to effectively counter his relentless attacks. The battle takes place across multiple stages, from an intense brawl through the streets of New York to a more personal confrontation in an abandoned warehouse. Venom's ability to grow in size, unleash tendrils, and emit devastating symbiote attacks keeps the fight unpredictable and dynamic. You'll need to master both Spider-Man's unique abilities, Peter's gadgets, and Miles' bioelectric powers to stand a chance. The sheer scale of the fight, combined with Venom's overwhelming presence, makes this a standout boss battle, one that encapsulates the larger-than-life stakes of being Spider-Man. The emotional weight of this encounter also adds depth, as Peter's internal struggle with the symbiote further complicates the fight. It's not just about defeating Venom, it's about confronting the darker side of Peter's own abilities and decisions, making this a must-play moment. 6. Lords of the Fallen. Best Boss. The Light Reaper. Lords of the Fallen is no stranger to punishing boss battles, but the Light Reaper takes it to a whole new level. This towering creature, shrouded in ethereal light, combines brutal melee attacks with deadly magical abilities. His arena is filled with environmental hazards that force you to stay mobile, and his attacks are designed to punish players who get too comfortable. The Light Reaper's second phase is where things get really interesting, as he begins summoning deadly light beams that sweep across the battlefield. This fight requires precise dodging and positioning, as well as an understanding of how to exploit the boss's few weaknesses. It's a fight that will leave you on edge from start to finish. 7. Wukong. Fallen Dynasty. Best Boss. Lu Bu in Wukong. Fallen Dynasty is an absolute beast of a boss. If you're a fan of fast-paced, skill-based combat, this fight will push you to your limits. Lu Bu's aggressive fighting style, combined with his deadly spear and lightning-fast combos, make him one of the most challenging bosses in the game. His attacks hit hard and fast, leaving little room for error, and his ability to mix long-range and close-quarter attacks keeps you constantly guessing. The key to victory is learning his patterns and countering at the right moments, but even then, this fight is no cakewalk. The sense of triumph you feel after defeating him is worth every frustration along the way. 8. Remnant II. Best Boss. Annihilation. Remnant II amps up the intensity of its predecessor with even more challenging bosses, but none are quite as fearsome as Annihilation. This towering, multi-dimensional monstrosity serves as the final boss, and it doesn't pull any punches. This fight is a true test of everything you've learned in the game, requiring precise timing, teamwork, if you're playing co-op, and quick reflexes to survive. Annihilation uses a combination of deadly attacks, including laser beams, area of effect blasts, and devastating melee strikes. One of the unique aspects of this fight is the way it shifts between phases, each introducing new mechanics to keep players on their toes. From dodging beams of light that disintegrate everything in their path to avoiding massive explosions that shake the very ground, this boss battle is a chaotic and thrilling experience. What sets Annihilation apart from other bosses in Remnant II is the sheer scale and intensity of the fight. The atmosphere is haunting, with eerie, otherworldly music and a dark, desolate arena that adds to the tension. Every moment of this fight feels like a desperate struggle for survival, making it one of the best boss battles in recent memory. 9. Black Myth. Wukong. 2024. Black Myth. Wukong is shaping up to be one of the most visually stunning and mechanically complex games of 2024, and its boss fights are a big part of why. One of the standout encounters is against the White Bone Demon, a formidable foe from Chinese mythology. The battle with the White Bone Demon is a multi-phase encounter that tests your ability to read your enemy's movements and counter her devastating attacks. The demon can transform into different forms, from a towering skeletal monster to a swift and agile humanoid, each with its own unique abilities. She summons minions, unleashes powerful AoE spells, and uses teleportation to keep you constantly on edge. What makes this fight truly special is how it blends traditional mythology with modern game design. The White-Boned Demon is not just a formidable opponent in terms of mechanics, but also a deeply symbolic figure in Chinese folklore, representing deception and trickery. The game's art direction shines in this battle, with stunning visuals that bring the mythological figure to life in a way that feels both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The fight requires you to switch between different tactics as the White-Boned Demon shifts forms, forcing you to adapt quickly and think on your feet. It's a beautifully designed encounter that combines challenge, narrative depth, and visual splendor, making it a highlight of Black Myth, Wukong. 10th Elden Ring, Best Boss, Malenia, Blade of Miquella. Even though Elden Ring came out in 2022, it's still one of the most talked about games of 2024, thanks to its relentless difficulty and breathtaking world. And when it comes to boss fights, few can rival the challenge posed by Malenia, Blade of Miquella. Known for being one of the hardest bosses From Software has ever designed, Malenia is a test of endurance, patience, and skill. Malenia's fight is broken into two phases, each more punishing than the last. In her first form, she uses rapid, precise sword strikes and has the ability to heal herself with every hit she lands on you. This forces players to stay on the move and avoid taking unnecessary hits, as every mistake makes her stronger. The second phase introduces an even more terrifying version of Malenia, as she transforms into the Goddess of Rot. Her attacks become more aggressive, and she now has devastating AoE moves that can wipe you out in seconds if you're not careful. The combination of her healing mechanic and her overwhelming offensive power makes this fight one of the most intense in Elden Ring. But what makes this boss fight so memorable isn't just its difficulty. It's the atmosphere. The serene, haunting beauty of the arena, combined with the tragic backstory of Malenia, gives the encounter an emotional weight that lingers long after the fight is over. 11th. Armored Core, XVI, Fires of Rubicon. Best Boss, IB-01, CEL240 Armored Core 66. Fires of Rubicon has cemented its place in gaming as a title that pushes the boundaries of mecha combat and intense action. Among its many standout moments, the boss battle against IB-01 CEL240 is an unforgettable experience, deserving of a deeper dive. This final boss encounter is a mechanical marvel designed to test your mastery of the game's intricate systems and deliver a pulse-pounding challenge that will have you on the edge of your seat. At first glance, IB-01 CEL240 is a terrifying sight, a massive, heavily armored war machine equipped with an array of devastating weapons. From the very beginning of the fight, you're thrown into a chaotic battlefield where every move must be calculated. The sheer size and power of this enemy are overwhelming, but it's the complexity of the fight that makes it so memorable. IB-01 unleashes a relentless barrage of missile strikes, energy beams, and sweeping laser attacks that cover a vast area, forcing you to constantly stay on the move. One of the most impressive aspects of this boss fight is the multi-layered strategy required to survive. You can't just rush in with guns blazing. Instead, you need to analyze IB-01's attack patterns, exploit brief windows of vulnerability, and use your arsenal of weapons wisely. The arena itself plays a crucial role in the fight. Scattered with cover points, obstacles, and destructible terrain, the environment becomes your ally as you dodge behind structures to avoid incoming missile volleys or maneuver around debris to block line of sight from the enemy's lasers. The IB-01 CEL240 fight in Armored Core 6 is not just another boss battle, it's a masterclass in mecha combat design. It challenges players on every level, combining strategic depth with heart-pounding action, and leaves you with a feeling of accomplishment that few games can match. If you're a fan of intense, skill-driven boss fights, this is one showdown you won't want to miss.